Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be applications you can apply to your life and a little more in depth about the chapter. We are in 1 Chronicles chapter 6, verses 1 through 81. Now, we see that God wants things done a certain way. And God gave this message and these rules to the Levites. The Levites were to pass it down to the children of Israel, and the children of Israel were to share their knowledge with the rest of the world. We see that Aaron was the first high priest, and he followed after God. But his two sons decided to make their own decisions and go their own way, do things the way they wanted them to, and it ended up costing them their life. They allowed the light to go out in the temple, and God said, do not allow it to go out. They tried to restart it on their own, which again was forbidden. God was the only one to light it up. We see that Moses was one of the greatest prophets and leaders of Israel's history, and yet he did not go into the promised land because he disobeyed God. Moses hit the rock for the water to flow out, and God had told him, only speak to the rock and it'll flow out. But again, Moses decided to do his own thing. And then we see that when David was moving the Ark Covenant, that it began to stumble, the horse began to stumble, and the ark began to maybe possibly fall. And a man reached out to touch the ark to stabilize it, and he died immediately. God said, do not touch the Ark Covenant or you will die. The only ones that was allowed to touch it was the Levites. And of course, David had prayed and learned his lessons, and then he did have the Levites move the Ark Covenant. Now, God gives us rules and commandments to keep us safe. We may not always like the rules. We may not always think that they are fun, but rules and structure in our life is so much better than chaos in our lives. And we cannot disregard lessons out of the Bible because we feel like some of them are irrelevant. Obedience to God now will make sense to us in the future. We cannot pick and choose the lessons of the Bible that we want to apply to our lives and then say, oh, we're going to ignore these, because ignoring God's lessons will surely bring us pain. Now, Israel cast lots to make decisions, and this was to take the decision out of man's hand and put it into God's hands. And this was only done after they prayed and sought the Lord. May God be with you in everything and every way.